Introduction. Friends, if you're excited to dive into the next chapter of the thrilling, magical, and undead saga that is Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires, then you're absolutely in the right place. And if you're visiting our channel for the very first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay connected, because this is where you'll get all the most exciting updates on your favorite movies. Today, we're talking about a film that's not just a continuation of a fan-favorite franchise, but also a major turning point in the story. Yes, you guessed it. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires star. This film takes everything you loved about the previous entries, zombies, werewolves, cheerleaders, music, and cranks the supernatural drama up to a whole new level with the arrival of the vampires. In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires. Where can you watch it? Is it coming to a streaming platform or airing on a satellite TV channel? Will it be released worldwide at the same time, or will there be region-specific dates? I'll break it all down for you in detail. Whether you're planning to catch it on Disney+, rent it digitally, or wait for a cable premiere, I'll make sure you know the best way to experience the film when it finally drops. But that's just the beginning. We're going to take a deep dive into the technical department of this movie. What was the pre-production process like? How long did it take to film? Where were the major scenes shot? And what kind of sets and visual effects went into making the vampire world come alive? We'll also explore the sound and music department, because let's be real, a zombies movie is never complete without those catchy, high-energy musical numbers. I'll tell you what to expect from the soundtrack, which songs might become fan favorites, and how the music helps push the story forward. We'll also look at the post-production process, editing, special effects, costume design, and all the little magical details that elevate a movie from good to unforgettable. On top of that, I'll share information about the film's budget and what kind of box office numbers it's expected to pull in. Is it going to be the biggest zombies film yet? We'll talk about the industry buzz and fan anticipation surrounding it. And of course, we can't talk about Zombies 4 without talking about the story. I'll give you a spoiler-free overview of the plot, what's happening in Seabrook this time, how the arrival of the vampires shakes things up, and how our favorite characters like Zed and Addison are dealing with this new threat. I'll also give you a quick review of how the story flows, how the characters have evolved, and how the themes of unity, diversity, and acceptance are explored in this new installment. We'll go over the star cast too, who's returning, who's new, and what roles each actor is playing. I'll highlight their performances, the chemistry between characters, and how each one contributes to the overall vibe of the movie. Plus, there are always a few fun facts, surprises, and maybe even some cameos to look out for, and I'll make sure you're not missing anything. So stick around, because this is going to be your complete guide to Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires. From storyline to soundtrack, from actors to aesthetics, everything you need to know is right here. Let's begin this undead adventure. The story of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires opens not with a bang, but with a quiet sense of unease that creeps over Seabrook like a fog. The film begins just after the events of Zombies 3, where humans, zombies, werewolves, and even aliens had finally managed to live together in a somewhat shaky but hopeful peace. The school has embraced diversity like never before. The student council is now shared by leaders from all supernatural groups, and things seem to be moving in a positive direction. But that harmony is shattered almost immediately when a rare lunar eclipse casts an eerie glow over the town, causing strange energy surges, whispering winds, and even odd behavior among some of Seabrook's supernatural citizens. It doesn't take long for the reason to make itself known. Vampires have returned, and they've been watching Seabrook for a long, long time. Unlike previous entries in the franchise, Zombies 4 leans more into a darker, mythic tone right from the start. The narrative stays mostly linear, but the movie uses flashbacks, dreams, and journal entries to build an ancient supernatural history that's been hidden beneath the town for centuries. These elements create an almost gothic undertone, something new for the series. The vampires don't just show up looking for a new school to join. They arrive with secrets, a mission, and a claim to a forgotten piece of Seabrook's past. They believe the town was once a stronghold of their kind, lost in a battle with other supernatural factions long ago. Now, with the blood moon rising and old relics resurfacing, they want their power back, and they're not afraid to challenge the status quo to get it. Addison becomes the center of this mystery. Still glowing with cosmic energy from her alien heritage, she begins having visions, cryptic dreams of a vampire queen, ancient symbols, and blood-red skies. She discovers a hidden underground chamber beneath the school containing a relic tied to the original vampire bloodline. As she digs deeper, she begins to realize that her identity is more complex than even she believed. There's a possibility that her lineage connects her to the vampire royal family itself. This sets up an internal struggle. Is she still the Addison that everyone knows, or does she have a darker destiny tied to this new supernatural force? Her emotional arc in the movie is filled with uncertainty, self-doubt, and a yearning for clarity, an echo of her earlier journeys, but far more intense this time. Zed, on the other hand, finds himself caught between his loyalty to his community and his desire to support Addison. As captain of the football team and the unofficial spokesperson for zombiekind, he's under pressure to keep the peace, but the arrival of the vampires throws everything into chaos. They don't trust zombies, and they certainly don't respect them. Tensions rise quickly, especially when one of the vampires challenges Zed to a power display during a school assembly. What was supposed to be a celebration of unity turns into a dramatic face-off, forcing the school principal and other leaders to step in and restore order. But the damage is done, and the uneasy alliance between groups begins to fray. Meanwhile, the werewolves don't trust the vampires at all. They remember stories passed down through generations about a great betrayal during the last vampire war. Wyatt and Willa take it upon themselves to protect the pack, even if it means going against Addison and Zed's push for peace. This creates further cracks within the group, and for the first time in the series, we see real disagreements between the main characters. These conflicts aren't just about loyalty, they're about history, pain, and the fear of repeating past mistakes. The film's middle act is packed with discoveries and emotional turning points. Addison uncovers a hidden chamber beneath the woods, containing an ancient throne and a set of runes that respond to her presence. The vampires interpret this as a sign that she's the long-lost heir of their kind and must take her place among them. Addison is torn. Does she walk away from the life she knows, or embrace the bloodline calling to her? This inner conflict is mirrored by Zed, who begins to worry that their relationship might not survive if she crosses that line. There's even a musical number set in the vampire crypt that's both eerie and emotional, where Addison sings about identity and choice, surrounded by illusions of past vampire royalty. As the story builds toward the climax, everything spirals into chaos. The blood moon triggers a surge in vampire strength, causing some of the younger vampires to go rogue. They plan to awaken an ancient force buried beneath Seabrook that could give them total control. Addison, now realizing the full scope of her power, has to make a decision. Does she fight alongside them, or against them? She chooses to protect her friends, leading to a massive final confrontation at the ruins of the old vampire temple, where lightning cracks the sky and supernatural energy pulses through the air. The battle is intense but symbolic, representing not just a fight for Seabrook, but for what kind of future its people want. Key emotional payoffs happen in this climax. Addison fully embraces her hybrid identity, not vampire, not alien, but something entirely new, and uses her unique power to stop the awakening. Zed, wounded in the battle, is saved by a reluctant vampire ally, showing that change is possible, even among the oldest of enemies. The werewolves, seeing Addison take a stand for all groups, finally drop their suspicion and join the fight, bringing the Unity arc full circle. By the time the storm clears, Seabrook isn't the same, but it's better. New truths have been uncovered, new friendships formed, and the foundation laid for whatever strange, wonderful future lies ahead. The plot never strays too far from its core themes of unity, acceptance, and identity, but it explores them in bigger, deeper, and more surprising ways than ever before. The story moves fast, but never feels rushed, balancing spectacle and heart in equal measure. With vampires now a permanent part of Seabrook's supernatural society, the world feels richer and more dangerous, and fans will be left wondering what might come next. In Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, character development isn't just a side effect of the story, it is the story. The supernatural elements may bring spectacle, mystery, and fantasy into play, but it's the emotional journeys of the characters that keep the audience invested. Each major character, returning and new, is pushed beyond their comfort zone. They're asked to confront not only external conflicts but also deep internal questions about identity, trust, and transformation. This time, the stakes are bigger than any football game or cheer competition. This time, the stakes are personal, political, and even existential. Addison's journey is more than just a continuation, it's a full-on metamorphosis. In the earlier films, she was defined by her optimism and her constant belief in unity. She was the heart of Seabrook's evolving identity, the symbol of togetherness between humans and zombies, later between werewolves and aliens. But now, in Zombies 4, she's asked to go inward. When the vampires arrive, whispering stories of ancient bloodlines and destiny, Addison finds herself staring at a version of herself she never imagined. Her visions become stronger. The energy inside her, left over from her alien heritage, starts reacting to vampire relics. She isn't just a cheerleader with special hair anymore. She's potentially the descendant of supernatural royalty. She is caught between two worlds, the grounded life she knows, and a haunting, powerful legacy she never asked for. Her growth comes not from accepting power, but from choosing what kind of power to hold on to. She refuses to be defined by anyone's expectations, not Zed's, not the vampires, not even her own past. By the end of the movie, Addison's transformation is complete, not into a vampire or alien queen, but into someone who fully owns her truth and leads others by being unapologetically herself. Zed's development mirrors Addison's, but from a completely different angle. Zed has always been the lovable underdog, the first zombie to fight for his place in Seabrook, and the one to challenge outdated ideas about what zombies are capable of. In this film, though, his arc shifts from rebellion to responsibility. He's now a role model, someone the younger zombies look up to. But that role weighs heavily on him, especially as he begins to feel the pressure of keeping peace between groups. And when the vampires show up and draw Addison into their mysterious orbit, Zed starts questioning himself in a way we've never seen. What if he can't protect her? What if she belongs somewhere else? What if unity isn't something you can maintain with just good intentions and catchy songs? He has to confront his jealousy, his fear of being left behind, and most importantly, his belief in Addison's agency. His maturity shows when he learns to step back, not because he's giving up, but because he trusts her enough to let her lead her own story. That level of emotional intelligence from a character who once tried to cheat a test using brain spray? That's growth. Willa's development is surprisingly emotional this time around. She's always been the fierce, no-nonsense protector of her pack, and in past films, that sometimes made her seem antagonistic. But here, we get to see what's behind all that fire. Fear. Deep-rooted fear that the mistakes of the past are repeating themselves. The vampires represent everything the werewolves were warned about: manipulation, betrayal, domination. And Willa has no interest in giving them a chance. But as the story unfolds and she sees Addison's struggle and Luciana's doubt, Willa begins to question whether her distrust is justified or inherited. Her growth comes from learning to lead not just with her instincts, but with compassion and open-mindedness. She doesn't lose her edge. Willa will always be a fighter, but she learns that strength isn't just about claws and howls. It's about having the courage to evolve. Wyatt also grows in a quieter, but meaningful way. He's more introspective, less impulsive than before. With the werewolves caught in the middle of growing tensions, Wyatt becomes a kind of emotional compass. He listens. He questions. He challenges traditions. His relationship with Addison becomes more like a spiritual siblinghood. They both feel a little caught between worlds, and that mutual understanding draws them closer. There's even a quiet moment in the film where he tells her that destiny is just a word unless you choose to give it meaning. It's one of the most poignant lines in the movie and shows just how far Wyatt has come from being a suspicious, swaggering newcomer in Zombies 2. Then there's Luciana, the breakout vampire character. While her father, Lord Valos, leads with command and tradition, Luciana is different. She's been raised on vampire pride, but once she sees the world of Seabrook, its mix of cultures, its friendships, its messiness, she starts to see the cracks in her worldview. Her arc is one of quiet rebellion. She questions the legends. She challenges her father. She even builds an unlikely connection with Zed, one rooted not in romance, but in shared frustration at being seen as symbols instead of individuals. She doesn't get a full redemption arc. This isn't a fairy tale, but she ends the film firmly on her own path, refusing to be anyone's pawn. Even secondary characters show signs of thoughtful development. Eliza, though physically absent from most of the story, plays a crucial role from afar, decoding vampire texts and guiding the characters through Seabrook's hidden history via tech. Her evolution into a digital guardian of zombie knowledge is both clever and emotionally resonant. She's still part of the group, even as she forges her own journey. Bree finally gets to stand on her own, no longer just the bubbly best friend. She steps into a leadership role among the cheerleaders and becomes the event coordinator for the Unity celebration, helping rebuild the fractured school community in her own colorful, confident way. And Bonzo, true to form, adds levity and heart. But even he gets a little character moment when he connects with a younger vampire through music, proving once again that understanding can be found in the most unexpected places. Relationships evolve too, not just romantic ones, but friendships and alliances. Addison and Zed's bond deepens, not because they face no challenges, but because they work through them with respect and honesty. Addison and Willa's dynamic shifts from rivalry to mutual respect. Zed and Luciana's alliance proves that empathy can exist even between former enemies. And Seabrook itself, once again, transforms, not just physically, but emotionally, into a place that doesn't just tolerate differences, but grows because of them. The characters in Zombies 4 don't just react to the plot, they drive it. Their fears and desires shape the narrative's twists and turns. Their growth sets the emotional tone. And their transformations leave a lasting impact on the world around them. Every dance number, every argument, every moment of silence in this film is fueled by who these characters are and who they're becoming. That's what makes the story so compelling. You're not just watching vampires meet zombies. You're watching individuals evolve, messily, beautifully, and bravely, into something entirely new. The performances in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires are an absolute showcase of how a young ensemble cast can rise to the challenge of growing stakes, deepening themes, and richer emotional complexity. What makes this film stand out isn't just the supernatural elements or the slick choreography, it's how convincingly the actors breathe life into their characters, especially as those characters evolve into more layered and emotionally driven versions of who they were before. From the franchise veterans to the newly introduced vampire cast, every performer contributes to building a world that, while filled with fantasy and spectacle, feels grounded in real emotional stakes. Meg Donnelly, as Addison, delivers a performance that is easily her most complex and commanding yet. She's always been the heart of Seabrook, a symbol of optimism, open-mindedness, and unity, but in this film, her journey turns inward. Meg plays Addison with a subtle but powerful emotional arc. She begins the story with confidence, a sense of belonging, and clarity about her role in Seabrook's fragile harmony. But as her connection to the vampires and their ancient legacy becomes more personal, Meg lets the edges of Addison's confidence fray just slightly. Her voice softens in key moments. Her eyes linger just a bit longer when faced with tough choices. There's a moment where Addison stands in the vampire throne room, overwhelmed and unsure, and Meg doesn't say a word, but the audience can feel every layer of fear, confusion, and strength swirling inside her. That kind of restraint speaks to an actor who knows how to let silence carry weight. She also handles the musical side with elegance. Her voice doesn't just hit the right notes, it carries emotional truth. One haunting ballad in the second act, sung alone in the vampire ruins, becomes a turning point for the character, and Meg delivers it with raw vulnerability and control that's unforgettable. Milo Manheim's portrayal of Zed is filled with warmth, heart, and a surprising dose of maturity. While Zed is still the lovable, occasionally goofy zombie fans have come to adore, Milo gives him a new depth that fits the film's darker tone. His comedic timing is as sharp as ever, He knows how to land a joke with just the right mix of charm and awkwardness, but what really stands out is how Milo handles Zed's growing fear of being left behind. As Addison begins to unravel her mysterious origins, Zed is no longer the center of her world, and Milo lets that show not through over-the-top drama, but through smaller, more vulnerable moments. His performance in the council scene, where Zed tries to hold together a piece that's quickly falling apart, is powerful not because he gives a loud speech, but because he speaks honestly, with a shaky voice and eyes full of uncertainty. He's no longer trying to be the hero, he's just trying to hold on to what matters. His chemistry with Meg remains strong, but it's no longer rooted in young romance. It's evolved into something more nuanced: respect, trust, and fear of change. Milo embodies all of it with grounded sincerity. Chandler Kinney's performance as Willa is perhaps the most surprising in the film. While she has always been the fierce, no-nonsense werewolf leader, Chandler takes Willa beyond her usual boldness and digs deep into the emotional roots of her anger and suspicion. Willa isn't just defensive anymore, she's haunted. She remembers old stories, old betrayals, and Chandler plays her like someone carrying generational pain. There's a scene where Willa confronts Addison under the eclipse, warning her of the vampire's manipulation, and Chandler delivers the dialogue like it's personal, as if Willa isn't just protecting her pack, but reliving the fears of every werewolf before her. But she's not stuck in the past. As the story progresses, Chandler lets Willa soften, just a little, revealing hesitation, guilt, and ultimately growth. Her eventual alliance with the vampires doesn't come easily, and that struggle makes her performance resonate more. She walks the line between protector and bridge builder with strength, grit, and emotional clarity. Pierce Josa as Wyatt brings a quiet confidence to the chaos. He doesn't get the flashiest moments, but he doesn't need them. He's the film's emotional anchor. Pierce plays Wyatt with gentle intensity, the kind of presence that calms the screen. His conversations with Addison, where they reflect on what it means to feel torn between different worlds, are some of the most grounded scenes in the movie. He brings a philosophical lens to the werewolf perspective, contrasting with Willa's more reactive stance, and his ability to express deep thought with just a glance or a quiet line makes his performance one of the most understated but essential parts of the ensemble. And now to the vampires, who steal scenes with elegance, mystery, and unexpected emotional depth. The breakout is undeniably the actress playing Luciana. From her first appearance, she commands attention, not by shouting or showing off, but by exuding calm control. Her delivery is sharp, her presence magnetic, and yet there's a softness under the surface that emerges beautifully as Luciana starts to question her place in her world. There's a subtle arc to her performance. Her voice shifts from cold and authoritative to uncertain and human as her walls come down. One scene, where she watches Addison unite students from every supernatural group after a vampire outburst, features no dialogue at all, but Luciana's slow, tear-brightened blink is enough to convey an entire internal transformation. She's watching the world she was raised to fear turn into something she quietly wants to be part of. It's stunning. Lord Valos, played by the lead vampire actor, is a masterclass in minimalism. He doesn't overdo his role as the regal antagonist. He underplays it in a way that makes his presence even more unsettling. He speaks slowly, with careful precision, and every word feels like it's been rehearsed for a century. But he isn't one note. The actor finds moments of softness, of almost fatherly disappointment, especially when Luciana defies him. There's an almost Shakespearean quality to his performance, tragic, proud, and broken. Even when he's clearly in the wrong, you can't help but feel a sliver of sympathy for him, and that's the mark of a truly skilled performance. Supporting roles round out the cast with consistent charm. Carla Jeffries' Bree becomes more than just the enthusiastic best friend. She plays Bree with infectious positivity, but she also shows a newfound assertiveness. Her big moment organizing the school's Unity Festival after tensions boil over is filled with genuine pride and purpose, and Carla plays it like Bree's finally found her own spotlight. Bonzo, as always, brings joy with his physical comedy, but even he gets a moment of emotional connection when he helps bridge a gap between zombies and vampires through music. The actor's expressive gestures and musical timing make him more than just comic relief. He's a universal translator of joy. Even background characters feel more alive this time, thanks to a cast that treats every line, every reaction, like it matters. It's not just about the spectacle, it's about making sure that every glance, every decision, every whispered line carries the emotional weight of a world that's learning how to change. Whether it's a look of hesitation between rivals, a sudden smile shared by unlikely allies, or a single tear on a vampire's cheek, the fantasy is fun. The direction of Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires doesn't just guide the film, it transforms it. This isn't a case of the director simply keeping the franchise afloat. This is someone stepping in with a firm hand, a daring creative vision, and a determination to evolve the Zombies universe into something more expansive, cinematic, and emotionally grounded than ever before. You can feel that ambition in every frame. The tone, the mood, the pacing, the blocking, the way the camera breathes with the characters, it's all deliberate, and it's all designed to do more than entertain. It's designed to pull viewers deeper into Seabrook, into its supernatural corners, and into the inner lives of the characters we've been following for 3 movies. Right from the prologue, you sense this film is operating on a more mature frequency. The director opens not with chaos or dance, but with quiet tension, an ancient scroll being unfurled, a hushed ritual among the vampires under candlelight, and the slow emergence of an unfamiliar threat. The camera doesn't dart around looking for action. Instead, it lingers. It creeps. It forces you to look closer, to ask questions. In just a few minutes, the director manages to establish a heavier, more ominous atmosphere, without losing the bright pulse of fun the series is known for. That balance is masterful. It feels elevated, as if the story's supernatural elements have finally caught up with their mythic potential. When it comes to pacing, the director shows an impressive command over when to push and when to pause. The middle section of the film, where most teen musicals might sag, is where this movie leans into its strengths. The emotional journeys are allowed room to simmer. Addison doesn't just stumble into new truths about her past, she walks through them slowly, visually surrounded by metaphor. Her character is often placed in scenes where space and silence do the talking. A shot of her standing at the edge of an underground crypt, the light barely touching her white hair, says more than any monologue. The director trusts the imagery, and that trust makes the audience feel respected. Musical sequences aren't just song breaks, they're visual storytelling events. One standout number involving the vampires uses choreography, lighting, and architecture to explore the feeling of being trapped in a legacy you didn't choose. The camera floats above them like a judge, then swoops low when they reclaim their agency mid-song. Another number unfolds entirely in candlelight, with slow, waltz-like camera movements that echo the rhythm of ancient traditions trying to modernize. There's one moment in particular, a 3-way duet between Addison, Zed, and a vampire prince, where the blocking alone tells you exactly how each character feels, even if you muted the scene. Their distance shifts as the music rises and falls. Their eye lines cross, then falter. The choreography isn't flashy, it's purposeful. The director also builds visual symbolism right into the setting. Seabrook has always been bright and modern, but in this installment, its edges blur. As the vampires begin to integrate, the town literally darkens, not in a sinister way, but in a shadow and light candle against neon way. This visual blending mirrors the narrative theme, worlds colliding, not clashing. Seabrook's school corridors are lit by fluorescent overhead lights, while the vampire dwellings glow with amber fire. The director slowly blends those tones as alliances form and tension dissolves. By the time the climax hits, you're seeing both aesthetics exist in the same frame, half shadows, half sparkle. That's not just pretty lighting, that's thematic storytelling through cinematography. Even crowd scenes are choreographed with intent. One of the trickiest parts of a franchise like this is keeping a large ensemble in focus without letting the main narrative get lost. The director solves this with clever visual framing. During major confrontations, characters aren't all piled together or randomly scattered, they're grouped by allegiance, by emotion, by role in the tension. The werewolves are often slightly out of center frame, never quite at ease. The vampires are posed symmetrically and stiff, until they begin to relax and shift. And the zombies. Always in motion, always cutting across the scene diagonally, suggesting how much they've already adapted. These subtle details communicate relationships without a single word spoken. Another strength in the direction is how effectively it uses stillness. For a musical, you'd expect non-stop motion, but this director dares to let moments freeze. When Addison makes a major discovery about her ancestry, the scene drops into complete silence. No music, no dialogue, just the slow zoom in on her face, lit only by flickering torchlight. It's bold. It lets the emotion rise naturally, and because it's surrounded by high-energy scenes, the impact hits harder. That kind of tonal contrast gives the film gravity without pulling it into darkness. During the final sequence, set during a supernatural eclipse, the director pulls out every tool. The pacing ramps up, the editing gets tighter, and the tension becomes physical. But again, there's restraint. You don't lose sight of the emotional stakes. In fact, the final confrontation is less about brute force and more about personal choice. The way the director chooses to film this moment, faces in close-up, reactions prioritized over effects, shows that the heart of the story is still human, even when vampires and werewolves are involved. Even the ending doesn't feel rushed or overstuffed. The director gives space for reflection, lingering on how far these characters have come. The camera doesn't pull away in a sweeping crane shot. Instead, it moves forward with the characters, like it's ready to follow them into whatever's next. That kind of subtle, grounded choice is what separates a director for hire from a storyteller with vision. All in all, the director of Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires doesn't just tell a story, he conducts an experience. Every beat, every frame, every shift in tone or space is thought through and emotionally anchored. It's flashy when it needs to be, but never for empty spectacle. It's quiet when it needs to be, but never boring. It's the kind of direction that expands what the franchise can be, and reminds audiences that even in a world of monsters, magic, and music, it's the sincerity of the vision that makes it unforgettable. The cinematography in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires doesn't just capture the action, it crafts a layered, immersive experience that evolves with the emotional and thematic core of the story. It's bold when it needs to be, subtle when it counts, and consistently imaginative. Right from the first frame, it signals that this is no longer just about high school cliques and teen drama, this is myth-making through the lens. And the camera knows it. One of the most striking things is how cinematography is used to create a sense of duality. Seabrook has always had a clean, modern, almost hyper-real brightness to it. Wide shots with even lighting, saturated colors, and perky camera movements. But now, with the introduction of the vampires, we're seeing a whole new visual language. The vampire world, hidden beneath the surface, is captured in deep shadows, tight spaces, and a palette that leans into crimson, amber, and midnight blue. Instead of jarring the viewer, this contrast is used to show how different cultures and identities clash, intertwine, and eventually merge. The camera tells that story visually before the characters even say a word. There are no throwaway shots in this film. Every moment is framed with purpose. When Addison walks into the vampire's underground chamber for the first time, the camera tilts upward, capturing her smallness in the face of something ancient and grand. The angle exaggerates the height of the stone arches and flickering candlelight, wrapping the audience in awe alongside her. The mood is gothic, yes, but also reverent. There's a sacredness to the space, and the cinematography respects that. In contrast, when Zed finds himself excluded or confused about Addison's new role, the camera pulls slightly back, using longer lenses to isolate him within the frame. He becomes emotionally and physically distant from the others, and we feel that disconnection visually long before he names it. One of the most visually compelling techniques used throughout the movie is the dynamic lighting shifts within scenes. During a confrontation between the vampires and werewolves, for example, the lighting rapidly flickers between cold blue and fiery orange as the tension escalates. It's disorienting, in the best way, and echoes the chaos of cultures colliding. It also provides a visceral sense of instability, like something ancient is trying to reawaken and the world can't decide whether to fight or accept it. And then there are the musical numbers, which transform into full-blown cinematic set pieces. Each one has its own visual identity, crafted meticulously through lighting, movement, and color. In one particularly memorable song performed by the vampires, the camera glides and figurates between performers, following their footsteps along a blood-red carpet laid down in a spiral pattern. It's mesmerizing, theatrical, and feels like something from a vampire opera, heightened and hypnotic. Another number uses backlit rain and slow-motion strobe lighting, turning what could have been a simple group choreography moment into an emotionally charged, visually surreal moment of unity and rebellion. Close-ups in this film are also given new weight. When Addison starts uncovering secrets about her ancestry, the camera doesn't just linger on her face, it studies her, waits with her. The focus is soft, the depth of field narrow. You can see the thoughts flickering behind her eyes. And when she finally realizes her connection to the vampire realm, the camera slowly rotates around her, like the world itself is shifting to accommodate her new identity. That kind of movement isn't just cool, it's meaningful. It matches the inner transformation with an outer one, using cinematography to externalize what the characters can't yet speak. One of the boldest visual decisions comes during the eclipse scene, a moment that could have been played with traditional effects or quick cuts. Instead, the filmmakers choose patience. The entire world darkens gradually, and the frame tightens. You're not watching an apocalypse, you're witnessing a turning point. The shadows creep in slowly, consuming familiar environments. Buildings are cast in black, and characters are illuminated only by the eerie red light of the blood moon. The camera lingers in long takes, making you sit with attention. It's not flashy, it's confident. It demands you feel every second. Even crowd scenes are meticulously composed. In the big community assemblies, where zombies, werewolves, humans, and vampires argue, sing, or unite, the cinematography doesn't just frame them as a blob of extras. It divides them carefully into sections, each lit and colored according to their identity. But as unity grows, those boundaries begin to blur. The final musical sequence, where all groups come together, is filmed in sweeping crane shots that blend colors, textures, and angles. The lighting is neutral, the movement fluid, and the crowd is no longer separated by race or species. It's a unified, kaleidoscopic community. The cinematographer uses reflection to stunning effect as well. Mirrors, windows, and water are used repeatedly as symbolic tools, capturing Addison's fragmented self-image, Zed's hope, or the vampire's secrecy. There's a gorgeous scene where Addison stands in a mirrored hallway underground, each panel revealing a different version of her: cheerleader, alien, vampire descendant. The camera pans slowly, letting you absorb the multiple identities she's carried through the series. It's quiet but powerful. It says, without dialogue, she's not choosing one part of herself, she's becoming all of them. All of this results in a film that feels more alive and layered than any previous entry. The cinematography doesn't just support the story, it deepens it. It adds mythic scale to what could have been a small teen fantasy, and it injects intimacy into scenes that might have been played as surface-level plot. By the end, you realize that you haven't just watched the characters evolve, you've seen the world evolve, visually, right alongside them. That's the power of cinematography done with intention. And in Zombies 4, it's operating on a level that makes the film not just a sequel, but a reinvention. The editing and pacing in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires don't just support the film's flow, they command it, sculpting every scene to hit just the right note, whether it's a soaring musical number, a heartfelt confession, or a tension-laced confrontation. At this stage in the franchise, there's no room for clunky transitions or uneven tempo, and this entry rises to the challenge with razor-sharp precision and a dynamic rhythm that keeps the audience engaged from the first blood-red moon to the final group embrace. The film's editing is its silent narrator, weaving together a story that jumps between emotional complexity and theatrical flair without ever losing its sense of direction. Right from the opening sequence, you can tell this is going to be a more mature and textured entry. The film kicks off with a high-stakes prologue that cross-cuts between Addison having ominous dreams and the vampires making their way to Seabrook in secret. These scenes are edited with a mounting rhythm, starting slow, lingering on mysterious details, then picking up momentum as the dreams turn darker and the arrival becomes imminent. The editor plays with silence and sound, cutting in sudden flashes of red or glimpses of fangs just before the scene transitions. These aren't just stylistic flourishes, they're mood setters. The audience is unsettled before anyone even speaks. Throughout the first act, the pacing is confident and breezy, with scenes flowing quickly as characters catch us up on their lives post-**zombies 3-star. We get swift, purposeful edits that keep the energy high, Zed stressing over college interviews, the werewolves negotiating territory, humans trying to maintain control, and Addison still unsure of her origins. The way these multiple storylines are cut together avoids the usual pitfall of feeling fragmented. Instead, the editing keeps them in dialogue with each other. Zed's excitement is often immediately followed by Addison's hesitance, emphasizing the widening emotional gap between them through juxtaposition. These kinds of editorial choices build tension and emotional undercurrents even when nothing overtly dramatic is happening. When the vampires enter Seabrook, everything shifts. The editing becomes more stylized, especially in scenes where they're the focal point. The pacing slows, not in a dragging way, but in a calculated, watchful manner. Cuts linger a beat longer, shots transition with smoother dissolves or elongated fades to black. This builds a palpable sense of difference between the vampire culture and the fast-talking musical world of Seabrook. A scene of the vampires walking down the school hallway, for example, uses slow motion and ambient sound, drawing out the moment and giving it a sense of alien intrusion. The editor uses pacing as a cultural signal. Seabrook is jumpy and bright, while the vampires bring in stillness and shadow. The musical sequences, as always in this franchise, are major editing set pieces, but in this installment, they are on a new level. Each song is edited like its own short film, complete with its own rhythm and emotional arc. The vampire-led numbers are slick and punchy, with fast intercutting, sharp match cuts, and layered transitions that mirror the elegance and control the vampires exert over their environment. One number cuts between past and present, showing the vampires' ancient history unfolding behind them as they sing about legacy and bloodlines. The editor threads this time jump through choreography, seamlessly moving from dusty crypts to Seabrook's sleek high school halls. It's visually stunning and narratively rich. Every cut deepens our understanding of their story. On the opposite end of the spectrum, there are slower, more reflective numbers, like Addison's solo in The Vampire Sanctuary. The editing here is intimate and poetic. Long takes, soft fades, and a gentle pace let her emotional journey shine. The scene breathes, allowing her performance to unfold naturally without flashy distractions. When the vampires join her in harmony later in the song, the pace picks up just slightly, signifying unity and movement. It's these subtle shifts in rhythm that carry the weight of character development without relying on heavy exposition. Tension-driven scenes, like confrontations between the vampires and werewolves, use tight, almost staccato editing patterns to great effect. One scene alternates rapidly between facial expressions, close-ups of clenched fists, and flickering torchlight, all while underscored by rising music. This kind of editing isn't just about quick cuts, it's about fragmentation, about showing a world on the verge of cracking apart. The editor knows exactly how much to show, and just as importantly, how long to withhold a payoff. Later in the film, when the characters experience internal conflict, the pacing mirrors their emotional state. Scenes of Addison doubting her role are edited with gaps, quiet moments with minimal sound, wide shots that feel isolating, and lingering dissolves that suggest emotional distance. Zed's uncertainty about their future is expressed through jagged transitions between hopeful moments and stark reality. The editing doesn't rush past these feelings, it lets them simmer, and that makes their eventual resolution all the more satisfying. By the time the third act rolls around, the pacing kicks into high gear. But unlike lesser films that equate fast pacing with chaos, Zombies for uses rapid editing as controlled urgency. The final battle sequence, for instance, uses multiple planes of action. Vampires facing down the werewolves, humans panicking, Zed trying to protect Addison, and Addison confronting the vampire leader about her destiny. All of these threads are edited together with near-surgical precision. There's a rhythm: build tension, show consequence, land an emotional blow, then back out for a moment to breathe. And repeat. It's a roller coaster, but one where the track is perfectly laid out. The film ends with a musical number that feels like a celebration of editing itself. Characters move through environments that previously divided them, each shot blending into the next as lights, colors, and choreography unite. The editing here is fluid and triumphant, signaling not just narrative resolution but visual harmony. There are callbacks to earlier visual motifs, a glance, a cut, a mirrored reflection, all woven into a final sequence that feels both climactic and reflective. Ultimately, what makes the editing and pacing in Zombies 4 stand out isn't just that it's technically well executed, it's that it's emotionally attuned. Every transition, every held beat, every quick cut is tied directly to what the characters are feeling and what the audience needs to feel. It's a film that doesn't just move, it pulses. And by the time the final frame fades out, you realize the rhythm has been guiding you all along. The soundtrack and score of Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires doesn't just support the story, it drives it, defines it, and elevates it to a whole new realm of emotional and atmospheric depth. From the opening moments of the film, the music begins doing subtle narrative work, laying sonic breadcrumbs that hint at tension, discovery, danger, and hope. The soundscape is rich and textured, full of hidden meanings and thematic callbacks to the previous films, but it's also brimming with fresh musical energy that reflects the arrival of a new supernatural force in Seabrook, the vampires. The creative team behind the music takes full advantage of this new narrative layer, fusing familiar pop rhythms and musical theater styles with haunting gothic influences, eerie choir harmonies, and otherworldly instrumentation. Each group, zombies, humans, werewolves, and now vampires, has a musical identity, and these identities are sharper and more defined than ever. The vampires' musical tone is seductive and complex. Think deep, brooding orchestral arrangements with a thread of unsettling harmony woven beneath. They use instruments like harpsichords, strings soaked in reverb, and low, droning synths to communicate a kind of cold, ancient authority. Their melodies are sweeping and dramatic, like they've been echoing for centuries. In their first big number, there's a moment where the beat momentarily drops out completely, leaving only a chorus of vampire voices singing in near whispers, an eerie effect that instantly makes them feel otherworldly and dangerous. That feeling of suspense and elegance continues to shadow them musically throughout the film. Then there's the contrast with the more upbeat, contemporary styles of the human and zombie characters, which bring back that familiar Zombies flavor of bright synths, energetic percussion, and stadium-style vocals. But here, those melodies are challenged and disrupted by the vampire presence. In one unforgettable scene, the vampires crash a human-zombie celebration, and as they begin to perform their own haunting melody, the beat from the previous happy song slows, distorts, and melts away into a darker key. The fusion of both songs into a layered dueling duet is a masterclass in musical storytelling. It's not just catchy, it's symbolic, expressing through music how old forces are overtaking new ones, and how different cultures can either clash or blend. Addison's musical arc deserves special attention. Her solo numbers are filled with longing and introspection, using softer instrumentation and more minimalist arrangements that allow her voice, and her inner conflicts, to shine. In one standout ballad set in a forgotten vampire sanctuary, the song begins with only a single note echoing like a heartbeat, then builds with subtle piano chords and a delicate string section. The lyrics unfold like a confession as Addison begins to understand her connection to the vampire bloodline. By the song's climax, her voice is layered over harmonies that reflect her split identity, and the final refrain ends not with resolution, but with a question, a musical ellipsis that speaks volumes. It's beautifully constructed and emotionally loaded. Zed's musical journey also evolves. Once the comic relief with bouncy rap-inspired verses and fast-paced hooks, his songs in this film reflect a deeper emotional undercurrent. One of his new solos begins light and confident, but midway through the melody slows, and the lyrics take a turn into vulnerability. The instrumentation drops to just a pulsing rhythm and distant backing vocals, highlighting his uncertainty and the pressure he feels trying to keep Seabrook's peace intact. It's a powerful moment because it shows that the music, like the character, is no longer performing just for fun, it's grappling with real emotional stakes. There are also incredible ensemble numbers that bring everyone together in moments of chaos or catharsis. One in particular, which plays out as a musical showdown between all the supernatural groups, is an ambitious mashup of styles and rhythms. Each faction enters the scene with its own theme: vampires with slow, echoing chants, werewolves with primal drums, zombies with bouncing hip-hop beats, and one by one, they begin interrupting and interlocking. The harmonies clash, overlap, and ultimately resolve into a shared chorus that sounds entirely new. It's a sonic metaphor for coexistence. The choreography, lighting, and camera movements all follow the song's crescendos, making the scene feel like a full-scale musical battlefield, grand, intense, and weirdly exhilarating. Another clever use of the score is in quieter, non-musical scenes. Even when no one's singing, the background music helps carry the mood. When Addison walks through the vampire archives, there's a soft, dissonant violin theme playing in the background, a little uneasy, a little curious, perfectly matched to her emotions. When Zed is alone thinking about his future, the piano notes from his earlier solo are reintroduced, only this time slower, with pauses between chords, suggesting introspection. These small musical touches guide the audience emotionally without words, letting us feel what the characters feel. And finally, in a brilliant closing number during the climax, the entire ensemble comes together for a final anthem that fuses all the film's themes into one soaring piece. The song begins with a whisper, a single voice, Addison, singing a verse over near silence. Then another voice joins. Then another. Then instruments, beats, harmonies, and eventually a full-blown chorus, building higher and higher until the music practically lifts the scene into the clouds. It's emotional, triumphant, and deeply satisfying, not just because it sounds good, but because it feels like the natural, earned conclusion of everyone's journey. The music doesn't just tie the film together, it elevates it, gives it soul, and leaves the audience humming long after the credits roll. In Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, the soundtrack isn't just accompaniment. It's character, it's plot, it's atmosphere. It tells the story, deepens the stakes, and gives the world of Seabrook its pulse. Every note is deliberate. Every silence is meaningful. And every chorus hits like a burst of supernatural magic. Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires wears its colorful, energetic musical and supernatural spectacle on its sleeve, but beneath the catchy tunes and dazzling choreography lies a surprisingly rich exploration of themes that resonate deeply beyond the screen. The film invites its audience to engage with big ideas wrapped in the accessible and fun package of a teen musical, creating a multi-layered experience that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. The themes unfold organically through the characters' journeys, the conflicts they face, and the music that ties it all together, giving the film emotional weight without ever feeling heavy-handed or forced. At the heart of the film is a profound meditation on identity and self-acceptance. Addison's journey is emblematic of the universal struggle to understand and embrace the multifaceted nature of who we are. The fact that she embodies multiple heritages, human, zombie, and vampire, makes her a living symbol of complexity and hybridity. This layered identity challenges the simplistic notion that people must fit into neat, exclusive categories. The narrative doesn't just ask, "Who am I?" but expands that to, "How many parts of myself can I accept and celebrate at once?" Addison's internal conflict and eventual acceptance encourage viewers to reflect on their own journeys towards self-understanding and the ways in which embracing contradictions can be a source of strength rather than confusion. The film's use of music, from introspective ballads to powerful anthems, mirrors this personal evolution, giving an auditory form to her emotional landscape. Closely tied to identity is the theme of legacy and history, which the vampires bring vividly into the spotlight. Unlike the relatively recent emergence of zombies and werewolves in Seabrook, the vampires carry with them centuries of tradition, lore, and power structures. Their presence forces the entire community to confront the weight of the past, not just as a distant memory but as an active, shaping force in the present. The film explores how history isn't a static thing to be forgotten or ignored. It's alive and breathing, influencing relationships, choices, and power dynamics. Through scenes filled with ancient rituals, ancestral relics, and the vampires' strict codes of conduct, the story demonstrates how legacies can be both oppressive chains and foundations for growth. The tension between honoring heritage and breaking free from its constraints adds rich texture to the narrative, inviting viewers to consider their own connections to history, whether personal, familial, or cultural, and how those connections shape identity and community. The film's broader social commentary emerges through its exploration of coexistence, diversity, and the challenges of building a unified community out of disparate groups. Zombies, werewolves, humans, and vampires have long-standing differences that fuel suspicion, fear, and conflict. But the story pushes beyond stereotypes and simplistic us versus them narratives to examine the messy, complicated work of understanding, tolerance, and alliance building. Instead of offering a quick fix or tidy resolution, Dawn of the Vampires delves into the process. Heated debates, misunderstandings, fragile truces, and moments of genuine connection. The musical numbers here serve a dual purpose, showcasing the clash of cultures through contrasting musical styles, and then symbolizing unity as those styles blend and harmonize. This thematic strand resonates with real-world conversations about diversity and inclusion, reminding audiences that coexistence is an ongoing effort that requires empathy, patience, and courage. Friendship and loyalty underpin much of the emotional resonance in the film. The relationship between Zed and Addison, for example, illustrates the complexities of growing up and changing together. Their bond is tested by shifting identities, new responsibilities, and diverging paths. The film portrays loyalty not as blind allegiance but as a conscious choice to support and respect one another even in disagreement. This nuanced depiction enriches the story, showing that friendships are living things that grow, strain, and evolve over time. Other friendships in the film reflect similar themes, communities finding strength in solidarity even as individuals face personal challenges. These interpersonal dynamics anchor the supernatural elements in relatable human emotion, making the film's messages accessible to all audiences. A subtler theme running through the film is the tension between tradition and progress. Vampires embody age-old customs and hierarchies, while the younger generation of characters pushes for change, equality, and new ways of thinking. This dynamic creates a narrative push and pull that fuels much of the film's conflict and growth. Rather than villainizing tradition or blindly championing progress, the film presents both as necessary forces that must find balance. Rituals are questioned, roles redefined, and old rules bent to fit new realities. This thematic layer encourages viewers to think about their own lives. How much do they honor tradition, and when do they push back to forge a better future? It's a universal question dressed in supernatural garb, but relevant to any generation grappling with change. Power and leadership are explored through characters' struggles with authority and responsibility. The vampires arrive with clear expectations of control and dominance, but characters like Addison challenge those models, advocating for leadership based on understanding and service rather than fear and inheritance. This theme adds complexity to the story, showing that power isn't just about status or strength but about choices and ethics. The film invites viewers to reflect on what kind of leaders they want and how power can be wielded to either divide or unite communities. Despite tackling these weighty ideas, the film never loses its sense of fun and humor, which actually helps the themes land more effectively. Moments of levity, playful banter, and vibrant musical numbers balance the seriousness, making the story feel joyful and alive. This blend of light and dark, fun and reflection, prevents the film from becoming preachy. Instead, it feels like an invitation to think deeply while enjoying a wild, colorful ride. Ultimately, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires uses its supernatural setting not just to entertain but to hold a mirror up to real-world issues of identity, history, diversity, and community. Its themes emerge naturally from the story and characters, woven seamlessly into music, dialogue, and action. The film respects its audience's intelligence and emotions, offering ideas that linger long after the curtain falls. It challenges viewers to embrace complexity, seek connection amid difference, and understand that belonging is a dynamic, evolving journey filled with both challenges and hope. In Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires, visual effects and CGI are more than just flashy add-ons. They're the invisible threads weaving the supernatural world of Seabrook seamlessly into the everyday. The film strikes a clever balance between practical effects and digital wizardry, crafting a visual experience that feels immersive, believable, and exciting without ever tipping into the realm of distraction or artificiality. From subtle enhancements to jaw-dropping spectacle, the effects team really knows when to step forward and when to hold back, creating a polished, cohesive world that draws the audience in rather than pulling them out. Starting with the zombies and werewolves, the filmmakers lean heavily into practical effects for their transformations and creature designs, which grounds the supernatural elements in a tactile reality. The makeup and prosthetics on the zombies are impressively detailed, featuring realistic decay, textured skin, and subtle movements that CGI alone couldn't replicate convincingly. Werewolves, too, benefit from a blend of physical costumes and animatronics combined with digital touch-ups to amplify snarls for movement and muscle shifts during transformations or battles. This practical foundation keeps the creatures feeling tangible and weighty, something you could almost reach out and touch, which adds to the immersion. When it comes to the vampires, the effects take on a more ethereal and stylized role. Here, CGI shines by enhancing the vampires' otherworldly nature without overwhelming the scenes. Their glowing eyes, the faint shimmer of their skin under moonlight, and the subtle mist that seems to follow their movements are all digital flourishes that elevate the gothic vibe without screaming special effects. These touches blend naturally into the film's color palette and lighting design, making the vampires feel simultaneously real and mythic. The transformation sequences, where vampires shift from their human-like appearances to more monstrous forms, combine practical makeup with CGI morphing that flows smoothly, avoiding the jerky or over-the-top transitions that sometimes plague supernatural films. Action sequences are where the CGI flexes its muscles most spectacularly, but still with a refined hand. Whether it's a climactic battle under a blood-red moon or a high-energy chase through Seabrook's shadowy streets, the visual effects enhance the drama and scale without stealing the spotlight. Explosions of supernatural energy, swirling dark fog, and vampiric powers crackling through the air are rendered with sharp detail and realistic physics, adding tension and spectacle. But instead of saturating every frame with digital chaos, the effects are used sparingly to punctuate key moments, giving them weight and impact. One of the most impressive technical achievements is how the film integrates its effects with the vibrant musical numbers. The choreography and camera work blends seamlessly with visual effects like glowing runes, spectral shadows, and surreal backgrounds that shift and pulse with the music's rhythm. For example, during a vampiric ensemble number set in a crypt, the walls seem to breathe, and shadows flicker alive in perfect sync with the beat, effects that couldn't be achieved without CGI, but which feel like organic extensions of the story's mood and tone. These sequences don't just look cool, they deepen the world building, making the supernatural elements a natural part of the musical fantasy. Lighting and color grading also play a vital role in marrying practical and digital effects. Scenes involving vampires are often bathed in cool blues and deep purples, with CGI highlights carefully placed to enhance the eerie atmosphere. In contrast, zombie and human scenes favor warmer, earthier tones that complement the physical makeup and sets. This careful color orchestration helps effects blend rather than clash, ensuring that transitions between groups feel visually coherent. Even quieter moments benefit from subtle digital enhancements. A flicker of spectral light when Addison senses her vampire heritage, a shimmer on a necklace with ancient symbols, or the faint pulse of magic flowing through the environment, all use CGI delicately to suggest unseen forces at work without overwhelming the grounded performances or natural sets. This thoughtful restraint shows a sophisticated understanding of when effects serve the story and when they risk becoming distractions. The film also avoids a common pitfall of supernatural movies where effects-heavy scenes lose physicality and weight. Thanks to the blend of practical and digital work, the movements, impacts, and interactions always feel believable. A vampire's leap has muscle and momentum. A zombie's stagger carries the weight of decay. The tactile feel keeps the audience invested in the action, making every punch, chase, and transformation more thrilling. In sum, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires uses visual effects not as mere spectacle but as vital storytelling tools. The balance of practical effects and CGI is expertly handled, creating a world where the supernatural feels real and alive without ever overshadowing character and story. The effects enhance immersion and excitement while respecting the film's grounded emotional core, making every supernatural moment hit with the perfect blend of awe and authenticity. The set design and locations in Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires do much more than provide a mere backdrop for the story. They actively shape the film's mood, character dynamics, and the immersive world that draws viewers in from start to finish. Seabrook, the town where all the action unfolds, isn't just a generic setting. It feels like a fully realized character itself, bursting with personality, history, and a unique charm that perfectly blends the everyday with the extraordinary. The production design team has painstakingly created environments that are visually rich and layered, with every corner, prop, and architectural detail working in harmony to deepen the narrative and engage the audience on multiple levels. Starting with the high school, the familiar territory of teenage life is portrayed with a vibrant, almost palpable energy that captures the chaotic, lively spirit of adolescence. The sets, classrooms, hallways, the bustling cafeteria, are awash in bright colors, quirky posters, scattered papers, and personalized lockers decorated with stickers and graffiti, instantly communicating a sense of place and personality. But what's clever is how subtle supernatural hints are woven seamlessly into these spaces. A faint, almost imperceptible glow emanating from a locker corner, cryptic symbols scratched into desk surfaces, a shadow that lingers just a bit too long near a stairwell. These details are never overdone or distracting but add layers of intrigue and mystery, suggesting that beneath the everyday teenage hustle, Seabrook is teeming with secrets. This clever blending of normalcy and supernatural undercurrent helps ground the story emotionally, making the fantastic elements feel both surprising and believable. Moving from the bright and bustling high school to the vampire sanctuaries and crypts, the film shifts gears into a world dripping with gothic elegance and ancient mystery. These sets are crafted with remarkable attention to detail, transporting viewers into spaces that feel rich with history and the weight of centuries-old tradition. Heavy, dark wood paneling, wrought iron sconces, flickering candlelight, and walls lined with aged stone create a heavy, atmospheric environment that contrasts starkly with the modern vibrancy of the school scenes. Every element, the faded portraits of vampire ancestors with their penetrating eyes, the dusty velvet drapes, the shelves brimming with ancient tomes and relics, feels like a tangible link to the past. The design manages to evoke a feeling of timelessness without becoming stuffy or static. These crypts are living spaces where history breathes and secrets whisper through the shadows. The lighting here plays a crucial role, using pools of warm candlelight and cold moonlit highlights to sculpt the space, adding depth and mystery that enhance the story's themes of legacy and identity. Outside of these interiors, the film's use of natural and outdoor locations brings a refreshing vibrancy and authenticity to the narrative. The coastal charm of Seabrook's boardwalk, parks, and quiet residential streets adds warmth and life to the film's visual palette. These locations are far from generic. They're filled with carefully chosen details that make the town feel lived in and familiar. Weathered benches, rustling autumn leaves scattered on sidewalks, flickering street lamps, and storefronts decorated for seasonal festivals all contribute to a sense of place that feels real and inviting. These outdoor spaces aren't just pretty scenery, they're active parts of the story. Many important scenes take place here, from tense supernatural showdowns under the blood-red moon to intimate moments between characters sharing secrets on quiet park benches. The natural elements, like the crashing waves on the beach or the dappled sunlight filtering through trees, are thoughtfully incorporated to amplify emotional beats and underscore the story's balance of light and darkness. Props throughout the film are another standout element of the production design, revealing an impressive dedication to craftsmanship and storytelling. The everyday items, backpacks stuffed with notebooks, phones buzzing with messages, sneakers scuffed from teenage escapades, help anchor the characters in a relatable reality. But it's the supernatural artifacts that truly catch the eye, intricately carved vampire daggers, glowing amulets etched with ancient runes, dusty scrolls that hint at forgotten spells. These props don't just decorate the scenes, they become focal points that drive the plot forward and enrich the mythology. When Addison discovers an amulet buried in a hidden chest, the object's weight, texture, and mysterious aura heighten the moment's impact. The craftsmanship suggests a deep backstory, inviting curiosity and wonder. Such props are carefully integrated into the world, blending historical authenticity with the film's fantastical elements. Color schemes and set dressing are also masterfully used as storytelling tools. The film employs distinct palettes to signal shifts in mood and allegiance. Vampire-related scenes lean into cool blues, purples, and silvers that bathe the environment in an otherworldly glow, evoking mystery, elegance, and a sense of danger. Conversely, scenes focused on humans and zombies favor warmer tones, yellows, oranges, and earthy browns, that feel welcoming and grounded. This deliberate contrast in color temperature helps viewers intuitively sense changes in tone or focus without relying on exposition. Lighting further enhances this effect. Shafts of moonlight slicing through stained glass windows, flickering candle flames casting dancing shadows, or warm golden rays spilling into a classroom at dawn, all help create immersive moods that echo the characters' emotional states and narrative developments. Even the smallest set details serve a purpose, adding depth and richness to the film's world. Posters advertising upcoming school events cleverly foreshadow plot points, while graffiti on walls and lockers subtly references past conflicts or character traits. These touches create a layered environment that rewards attentive viewers, making the world feel dynamic and evolving rather than static or artificial. It's clear the production design team understands the power of environmental storytelling, using the setting itself to build anticipation, reveal history, and add texture to the narrative. The interplay between practical sets and digital enhancements is seamless. While many of the key locations are tangible, built environments that actors can physically interact with, the subtle integration of CGI extends the world in ways that enrich rather than overshadow. For instance, glimpses of ancient vampire cities glimpsed through magical portals or the eerie glow surrounding certain cryptic artifacts blend perfectly with the tangible sets, creating a cohesive visual experience that feels both expansive and grounded. In sum, the set design and locations in Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires do far more than just provide scenery. They create a living, breathing world that enhances every aspect of the story. The careful attention to detail in environments, props, color palettes, and lighting shapes the film's tone, deepens character journeys, and pulls viewers fully into Seabrook's unique mix of the everyday and the supernatural. Whether you're roaming the vibrant halls of the high school or descending into the shadowed crypts of the vampire realm, the dialogue and script in Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires function as the lifeblood of the entire film, fueling its energy, humor, emotional resonance, and the complex relationships that make the story so engaging. Far from feeling like standard teen musical fare, the writing strikes a rare balance between sharp wit, naturalistic speech, and meaningful moments that give the characters real depth. The script captures the way actual teenagers talk, with all their awkwardness, sarcasm, enthusiasm, and emotional volatility, but it also elevates the conversations with touches of poetic phrasing and clever wordplay that feel perfectly at home in a supernatural fantasy setting. This combination makes the dialogue feel both fresh and memorable, avoiding cliches and predictable teen chatter in favor of something more vibrant and layered. One of the first things you notice is the script's skillful use of humor. The dialogue is peppered with quick quips, playful insults, and sarcastic comebacks that keep the tone light and entertaining even during tense moments. Characters like Zed act as a kind of comic anchor, using dry wit and sly observations to defuse conflict or provide comic relief when the stakes get high. But this humor is never gratuitous or out of place. It arises organically from the personalities and situations, enhancing character chemistry and making the supernatural elements feel grounded in relatable human interactions. For example, the banter between the zombie and werewolf characters often crackles with energy, highlighting their friendship and rivalry in ways that feel genuine rather than scripted. These moments invite the audience to laugh with the characters, building empathy and connection. Beyond humor, the script shines in its handling of emotional weight and vulnerability. When Addison grapples with her complicated identity, torn between human, zombie, and vampire heritages, the dialogue becomes more introspective and nuanced. The script captures the uncertainty, frustration, and hope that come with such a journey, often using simple yet powerful lines that resonate deeply. One standout moment has Addison quietly confessing, "Sometimes I don't know who I'm supposed to be, or if any of that matters." The way the script frames this internal conflict feels authentic and touching, allowing viewers to see themselves reflected in her struggles. These scenes are given room to breathe, with pauses and silences that add to their emotional impact rather than rushing through them. This respectful pacing signals that the writers understand the importance of character growth and aren't just using emotional beats as filler. The dialogue also boasts several memorable lines that crystallize the film's central themes and character arcs. For instance, Addison's rallying cry, "We don't have to be enemies just because we're different," isn't just a throwaway sentiment but a powerful statement earned through the story's progression. It encapsulates the film's message of unity, acceptance, and the courage to bridge divides, making it a line audiences are likely to remember and quote. On the other end of the spectrum, the vampire elders deliver moments of gravitas, speaking in a formal, sometimes archaic style that contrasts beautifully with the younger characters' casual speech. These speeches add texture and historical depth without becoming dull or overwrought. Some of their lines cleverly blend old-world wisdom with unexpected humor or self-awareness, humanizing these ancient beings and making them more relatable. Another notable strength of the script is how it differentiates the voices of the various supernatural groups. Zombies, for example, often speak with casual slang, upbeat energy, and a sense of youthful irreverence, reflecting their vibrant personalities and eagerness to fit in. Werewolves' dialogue tends to be more direct and grounded, often laced with humor that underscores their pack mentality and loyalty. Vampires, meanwhile, have a distinctively formal and poetic cadence that highlights their age and tradition but softens in interactions with younger characters, revealing layers beneath their stoic exteriors. This careful attention to voice helps audiences immediately grasp who's speaking and what cultural values or emotional states they represent, enriching the film's world-building through language alone. Conflict scenes in the dialogue are especially well crafted, avoiding black-and-white portrayals or tired stereotypes. Arguments aren't just about pushing the plot forward, they reveal deeper fears, hopes, and motivations. For instance, disagreements between Addison and vampire leaders expose tensions about power, identity, and belonging rather than mere personality clashes. These multidimensional exchanges make conflicts feel realistic and relatable, showing that even supernatural beings wrestle with very human dilemmas. The script balances seriousness with humor and warmth in these moments, ensuring that the tension never feels heavy-handed but instead invites viewers to engage thoughtfully. The musical numbers themselves often function as extensions of the dialogue, with lyrics that advance the plot or deepen character insights rather than interrupting the flow. The song lyrics cleverly incorporate repetition, rhyme, and rhythmic wordplay, making them feel like natural expressions of the character's inner thoughts and emotions. This seamless blending of spoken and sung words creates a continuous narrative flow that keeps the audience emotionally invested and entertained. The script also includes plenty of clever callbacks and inside jokes that reward fans of the franchise and attentive viewers. These nods create a sense of community and continuity, making the film feel like part of a larger ongoing story without alienating newcomers. For example, offhand remarks or visual gags referencing previous installments pop up organically, adding layers of fun and nostalgia without distracting from the current narrative. Beyond character interaction, the dialogue also serves as a subtle vehicle for world building. Through conversations, viewers learn about vampire traditions, zombie culture, and the history of Seabrook in ways that feel natural and engaging rather than exposition-heavy. This smooth integration enriches the film's mythology and helps immerse the audience more fully in its unique universe. The pacing of the dialogue further enhances its effectiveness. Exchanges shift effortlessly from rapid-fire quips to slower, contemplative conversations, maintaining energy while allowing important emotional beats to land fully. This variety keeps the audience engaged and prevents any sense of monotony, reinforcing the dynamic tone that defines the film. Ultimately, the dialogue and script in Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires are lively, sharp, and deeply human, brimming with personality and emotion. They bring the characters vividly to life, weaving humor and heart into every exchange and making the supernatural world feel accessible and vibrant. The writing elevates the story beyond simple fantasy, creating memorable moments and lines that stick with viewers long after the credits roll. It's a masterful blend of entertainment and insight, proving that even in a world of zombies and vampires, great writing remains the key to a truly captivating tale. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires plunges enthusiastically into the rich and often familiar territory of the teen supernatural musical genre, but it does so with a clever mix of reverence and reinvention that keeps the whole experience feeling fresh, exciting, and genuinely entertaining. This film knows exactly where the genre's hallmarks lie: the inevitable high school drama, the clash between supernatural factions, the romantic entanglements, the musical numbers that both advance plot and deepen character. But rather than simply checking off these boxes, it approaches each element with a playful spirit and thoughtful twists that breathe new life into what might otherwise feel like worn-out cliches. The way it balances paying homage to beloved genre staples while cleverly subverting or expanding them is one of the main reasons the film holds your attention and feels surprisingly unpredictable. Starting with the supernatural creatures themselves, Dawn of the Vampires avoids the trap of portraying vampires and zombies as one-dimensional monsters. The vampires in this installment aren't just dark, brooding predators lurking in the shadows. Instead, they're given surprising layers of complexity. Their ancient traditions and rigid hierarchies create a fascinating tension with the younger generation's more progressive and questioning attitudes. This sets up a generational and ideological conflict that adds texture and depth, steering the story away from simple good versus evil narratives. The vampire elders speak with the weight of centuries of knowledge and a sometimes rigid sense of duty, while the younger vampires wrestle with the desire to break free from these constraints and redefine their identity. This dynamic not only reinvigorates the vampire mythos but also mirrors real-world themes of rebellion, self-discovery, and cultural change, making their struggles feel relevant and compelling. Zombies, too, receive a refreshing update. Instead of mindless, lumbering creatures driven by a hunger for brains, the zombies here are vibrant, full of personality, and eager to find their place in a society that often fears and rejects them. They're portrayed as passionate, determined individuals with hopes, dreams, and friendships, challenging the typical horror trope of the zombie as a faceless threat. This humanizing portrayal adds unexpected emotional depth and invites viewers to reconsider preconceived notions about these creatures. The film explores themes of acceptance and integration through their experiences, as zombies strive to be seen not just as monsters but as members of the community. Their interactions with vampires and humans reveal complex social dynamics, fraught with mistrust but also hope for unity, adding nuance and complexity rarely seen in similar genre stories. The musical elements are seamlessly woven into this supernatural tapestry, not feeling like interruptions but rather integral parts of the narrative. Songs range from infectious high-energy anthems that celebrate individuality and belonging to slower, more reflective ballads exploring themes of identity, fear, and transformation. The choreography cleverly incorporates supernatural motifs. Vampires move with a fluid, almost ethereal grace, while zombies' movements emphasize their distinct physicality with staggered yet rhythmic motions. This creative use of movement and music strengthens the storytelling, making the musical sequences feel like natural expressions of the characters' inner lives and the world they inhabit. When it comes to action and suspense, the film strikes a commendable balance. The supernatural battles and confrontations are exciting and visually impressive, yet they don't overwhelm the story or sacrifice character development for spectacle. Instead, moments of high tension are carefully interspersed with humor and heartfelt scenes, creating a rhythm that keeps the audience engaged without exhausting them. The pacing respects the need for thrills typical of the genre but also allows breathing room for emotional beats, ensuring the story feels well-rounded and dynamic. The film's approach to horror elements is similarly savvy. While featuring traditional supernatural beings associated with horror, vampires and zombies, the tone remains accessible and light enough for younger audiences, avoiding excessive darkness or graphic scares. Instead of relying on jump scares or gore, the film builds suspense through atmosphere, lighting, and music, creating moments of eerie tension that feel appropriate within the musical framework. This balance preserves the spooky mood while maintaining a fun, upbeat energy that appeals to a broad audience. Humor plays a crucial role throughout the film, often poking fun at genre conventions with a knowing wink that keeps things lighthearted without descending into parody. Characters casually reference or joke about classic vampire and zombie tropes, such as vampires avoiding sunlight or zombies craving brains, turning these cliches on their heads with clever, self-aware dialogue. This meta-humor adds an extra layer of entertainment, inviting the audience to share in the fun without undermining the sincerity of the story or the emotional journeys of the characters. Romantic storylines are handled with a modern sensibility that avoids tired tropes. Rather than falling into predictable love triangles or melodramatic confessions, relationships develop naturally through shared experiences, mutual understanding, and personal growth. This approach respects the complexity of young love and friendship, emphasizing inclusivity and emotional honesty. The romance is woven into the larger narrative seamlessly, enriching the characters' motivations and adding depth to the film's themes of acceptance and unity. The film excels at blending multiple genres, fantasy, comedy, drama, musical, and coming of age, into a cohesive whole that keeps the narrative multifaceted and engaging. This genre fusion allows it to explore adolescent struggles with identity, belonging, and change through the lens of supernatural fantasy, making these universal themes feel fresh and imaginative. The story's tone shifts fluidly from light-hearted fun to moments of genuine emotion and tension, maintaining a dynamic balance that keeps viewers invested. Visually, the film supports this genre, blending with a vibrant, expressive color palette and cinematography that adapts to the mood and focus of each scene. Bright, saturated hues highlight the energy and optimism of musical sequences and human-centric scenes, while cooler, shadowy tones dominate vampire settings, emphasizing mystery and tradition. Earthy, muted colors ground the zombie scenes in a sense of realism and community. This visual versatility mirrors the story's tonal shifts and genre interplay, enhancing the audience's immersion. All in all, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires delivers a thoughtful, entertaining take on the teen supernatural musical genre. It masterfully balances honoring classic genre conventions with fresh ideas and creative twists that keep the story vibrant and unpredictable. The film moves fluidly between action, humor, suspense, drama, and heartfelt moments, crafting an experience that feels both familiar and refreshingly original. This confident, playful approach to genre execution makes it stand out in a crowded field and contributes significantly to its charm and appeal. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires offers much more than just supernatural spectacle and catchy tunes. Beneath its lively exterior lies a rich layer of social and cultural commentary that resonates deeply with contemporary audiences. The film smartly uses its fantasy setting, a town where zombies, vampires, and humans coexist with all their tensions and alliances, as a metaphorical playground to explore pressing real-world issues. What stands out is how these themes are woven seamlessly into the story, flowing naturally through the characters' experiences and relationships, never feeling like heavy-handed lectures or shoehorned messages. Instead, they enrich the narrative, inviting viewers to engage thoughtfully while still being thoroughly entertained. At its foundation, the film grapples with themes of diversity, acceptance, and the challenges of coexistence, topics that mirror ongoing social conversations about race, culture, and identity. The supernatural factions represent distinct communities, each with their own histories, customs, and struggles. Vampires embody tradition and hierarchy, zombies represent marginalized groups striving for recognition, and humans stand for the societal majority, sometimes caught in between. The conflicts, misunderstandings, and fragile alliances between these groups cleverly reflect the dynamics of real-world multicultural societies. Instead of resorting to simplistic portrayals of us versus them, the film embraces complexity, showing how prejudice and fear often stem from ignorance but can be overcome through empathy, communication, and cooperation. This nuanced portrayal encourages audiences to look beyond stereotypes and appreciate the richness that diversity brings. Addison's personal journey is a particularly powerful vehicle for exploring issues of identity and belonging. Torn between multiple heritages and struggling to integrate these parts of herself, she becomes a relatable figure for anyone who has felt caught between different cultural, social, or personal expectations. Her story speaks to the experience of intersectionality, the idea that people embody multiple identities that influence their worldview and challenges. The film treats this with sensitivity and authenticity, depicting Addison's doubts, fears, and moments of triumph with emotional honesty. Her gradual self-acceptance and the realization that her multifaceted identity is a strength rather than a burden resonate as a meaningful commentary on the value of embracing complexity and resisting narrow labels. The tension between tradition and progress is another compelling theme explored through the generational clash within the vampire community. The elders cling to ancient customs and rigid hierarchies, fearful that change threatens their identity and power. In contrast, the younger vampires push for inclusivity, reform, and a redefinition of what it means to belong. This conflict echoes real societal debates about cultural preservation, innovation, and how communities evolve over time. The film doesn't demonize either side but portrays their perspectives with empathy, highlighting the fears and hopes that drive each. Through this, it raises thoughtful questions about the balance between honoring heritage and embracing change, encouraging viewers to reflect on how societies negotiate these tensions. The portrayal of zombies as vibrant, socially engaged characters challenges traditional horror stereotypes and serves as a poignant metaphor for marginalized groups in society. Often feared and ostracized, these zombies strive for acceptance and equality, confronting prejudice and systemic exclusion. Their struggles and triumphs highlight the importance of visibility, representation, and allyship. By humanizing a creature traditionally seen as monstrous, the film invites audiences to reconsider assumptions and biases, promoting a message of compassion and social justice. Handling such weighty themes with nuance and care is no small feat, yet the film accomplishes it by balancing seriousness with humor, heart, and energetic storytelling. Rather than overwhelming viewers with overt moralizing, it allows these issues to emerge naturally through character-driven narratives and relatable situations. This approach makes complex topics accessible, especially to younger audiences, fostering empathy without preaching. Political and power dynamics subtly permeate the storyline, particularly within the vampire leadership's intricate governance. These elements serve as allegories for real-world issues of authority, resistance, and social justice. Through struggles for leadership and debates over tradition versus reform, the film raises questions about what responsible, inclusive leadership looks like and how communities can navigate change without fracturing. These political undertones add layers of sophistication, prompting viewers to consider broader societal structures and their implications. The theme of chosen family and found community is another significant social commentary embedded in the film. Characters form bonds that transcend bloodlines, species, and backgrounds, emphasizing that belonging and support can come from shared values, mutual respect, and love. This message aligns with contemporary understandings of family and community, reflecting the diverse ways people build connections in today's world. The film celebrates these alternative forms of family, promoting inclusivity and emotional security. Mental health and emotional well-being are thoughtfully addressed, with characters openly confronting fears, insecurities, and internal conflicts. The script normalizes vulnerability and the need for support, portraying resilience as a communal, not solitary endeavor. This progressive treatment helps destigmatize mental health issues, encouraging viewers to recognize the importance of empathy, communication, and self-care. The soundtrack amplifies these themes, with lyrics celebrating empowerment, identity, solidarity, and overcoming adversity. The music acts as both a narrative device and an emotional amplifier, transforming abstract ideas into memorable, inspiring anthems that resonate on multiple levels. Visually, the film's costume and production design reinforce its cultural commentary. Each group's distinct styles and aesthetics express their histories, values, and identities, showcasing the beauty of diversity. These visual choices support the narrative's call for respect, understanding, and pride in one's uniqueness, while highlighting common humanity beneath differences. Overall, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires deftly integrates social and cultural commentary into its supernatural musical adventure, crafting a story that is as thought-provoking as it is entertaining. By exploring themes of identity, inclusion, tradition, and change through the engaging lens of fantasy, it invites audiences of all ages to reflect on important contemporary issues in ways that feel natural, heartfelt, and inspiring. The film's sensitive and nuanced handling of complex topics elevates it beyond mere genre entertainment, making it a meaningful contribution to conversations about community, acceptance, and what it means to truly belong. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires possesses an almost magnetic quality when it comes to drawing audiences into its world and keeping them emotionally invested throughout the entire film. It's far more than just a supernatural musical with vibrant choreography and catchy songs. It's a carefully crafted emotional roller coaster that skillfully weaves moments designed to evoke a broad spectrum of feelings, from hearty laughter to genuine tears, thrilling excitement, and moments of heartfelt reflection. The filmmakers clearly understand that true audience engagement is not about flashy visuals alone, but about creating authentic connections between the story, the characters, and the viewers, and they execute this with great finesse. From the very beginning, the film bursts with energy and charm, immediately inviting viewers into its colorful universe. The humor is sharp and character-driven, emerging naturally from the personalities and interactions of the cast rather than feeling like forced jokes or contrived comic relief. This establishes an accessible, warm tone that encourages audiences to lean in, smile, and share in the fun. The clever banter and playful exchanges between characters spark frequent laughter, creating a buoyant atmosphere that balances the darker or more intense moments that appear later. This blend of humor and heart ensures that the film never becomes emotionally monotonous or overwhelming. Yet, beneath the surface of this lively tone lies a deeply resonant emotional core. The struggles faced by Addison and other central characters, questions of identity, self-worth, acceptance, and finding one's place, are portrayed with sincerity and nuance. These themes strike a chord with anyone who has ever felt like an outsider or grappled with complex aspects of their own identity. The quieter scenes where Addison wrestles with her doubts, confides in friends, or experiences moments of vulnerability invite genuine empathy from the audience. These intimate emotional beats provide depth and contrast, allowing viewers to connect on a more personal level with the characters. The authenticity of these moments makes them especially powerful, as they eschew melodrama in favor of relatable, human emotions. The film also delivers on the excitement front with well-crafted suspense and thrilling action sequences. Supernatural confrontations, tense standoffs, and fast-paced chases are choreographed and shot to maximize adrenaline and keep audiences on the edge of their seats. These high-energy scenes provide visceral excitement while remaining grounded in the stakes faced by the characters, so the thrills feel earned rather than gratuitous. Whether it's a fierce vampire duel or a daring rescue mission involving the zombies, the pacing and intensity of these moments effectively heighten engagement and sustain momentum. Plot twists and unexpected developments inject further vitality into the narrative, introducing elements of surprise that keep viewers guessing. The film skillfully subverts expectations, steering away from predictable outcomes and injecting fresh ideas that challenge genre conventions. These moments not only heighten suspense but also encourage active engagement. Fans find themselves theorizing about future plot points, debating character choices, and eagerly anticipating the next installment or twist. This dynamic interaction between story and audience enhances emotional investment and builds a sense of community among viewers. Musical numbers in Zombies 4 serve as powerful emotional catalysts, with infectious melodies, stirring lyrics, and dynamic choreography that amplify the film's core themes. From uplifting anthems celebrating individuality and belonging to heartfelt ballads exploring inner conflicts and hopes, the songs resonate deeply with audiences. The carefully crafted performances invite viewers to sing along, dance, and feel directly connected to the characters' journeys. These musical moments often become iconic highlights that audiences remember and revisit, fueling repeat viewings and extending the film's cultural impact. One of the film's greatest strengths in audience engagement lies in its thematic depth, which invites reflection and discussion. By exploring ideas such as identity, acceptance, unity, and resilience, the story sparks conversations that go beyond the screen. Friends and families watching together often find themselves talking about what it means to belong, how to overcome prejudice, and the importance of embracing one's true self. These conversations can extend to social media and fan communities, fostering vibrant exchanges that deepen viewers' connection to the film and to each other. Character relatability is another key driver of emotional engagement. The protagonist's joys, fears, triumphs, and setbacks feel genuine and accessible, allowing audiences to root for them with enthusiasm and share in their emotional highs and lows. Addison's growth, Zed's humor, and the ensemble's camaraderie build a sense of familiarity and attachment, making viewers care deeply about what happens to them. This emotional bond transforms the viewing experience from passive observation to active involvement. The film also demonstrates masterful pacing of emotional beats. It balances moments of levity and joy with scenes of conflict and introspection, creating a rhythm that keeps the audience emotionally energized and invested without causing fatigue. The ebb and flow of emotions, light-hearted banter followed by poignant revelations, thrilling action punctuated by tender reflections, ensures a dynamic experience that holds attention and resonates long after the film ends. Representation and inclusivity further enhance audience engagement. By depicting diverse characters and embracing themes of acceptance, the film allows a wide range of viewers to see themselves reflected on screen. This validation fosters a deeper emotional connection, as audiences feel recognized and celebrated. The positive portrayal of differences, be they supernatural or human, encourages empathy and broadens perspectives. Finally, the film's messages about friendship, chosen family, and community amplify its emotional reach. The bonds formed between characters transcend species and backgrounds, illustrating the power of support and solidarity. These universal themes touch hearts and remind viewers of the importance of connection in their own lives. In summary, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires crafts a rich tapestry of emotional engagement by blending humor, heart, excitement, and meaningful themes. It invites laughter and tears, thrills and reflection, creating an immersive experience that resonates deeply and lingers in the memory. The film's ability to connect with its audience on multiple emotional levels is a major part of its charm and enduring appeal, making it not just a fun ride but a truly impactful story that invites repeated visits and ongoing conversations. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires steps into the spotlight carrying the rich legacy of its franchise while also staking its claim as a fresh and exciting entry in the broader teen supernatural musical genre. When you line it up against both its predecessors and other films within this vibrant category, it becomes clear that this movie skillfully walks the tightrope between honoring beloved conventions and pushing the boundaries with inventive twists and new depths. Starting with its place within the Zombies franchise, the earlier installments carved out a niche by blending the supernatural with the everyday challenges of teenage life, focusing on themes like acceptance, friendship, and self-expression, all set against the infectious energy of musical numbers. These films built a welcoming world where zombies and humans grappled with societal divides in a way that was accessible and uplifting. Dawn of the Vampires not only builds upon this foundation but also expands the scope dramatically by introducing vampires into the mix, thus enriching the supernatural lore and adding layers of cultural and ideological complexity previously unexplored in the series. This inclusion doesn't feel like a gimmick or a mere attempt to freshen up the formula. Rather, it broadens the narrative canvas, presenting new conflicts, alliances, and emotional stakes that add surprising depth to the franchise. Longtime fans get to explore a more intricate world, while newcomers are invited into a richer, more textured supernatural universe. Compared to other films in the teen supernatural musical space, such as the likes of High School Musical, Descendants, or even earlier supernatural entries like Twilight's musical parodies, Dawn of the Vampires distinguishes itself through the complexity of its genre fusion and narrative ambition. Many similar films tend to stick closely to one supernatural trope or treat the fantasy elements as mere backdrop for romance and catchy songs. This film, in contrast, actively engages with the social and political tensions between its supernatural groups, using these dynamics to probe issues of identity, tradition, and social integration with a surprising sophistication. This approach elevates it beyond a simple monster meets teenager story and into a thoughtful exploration of cultural diversity and change. The musical dimension also stands tall among its peers. While franchises like High School Musical and Descendants have set high bars with memorable songs and dynamic choreography, Zombies 4 impresses by integrating its musical numbers more tightly with its supernatural themes. The choreography cleverly embodies the distinct qualities of each group. The ethereal, elegant movements of vampires contrast with the grounded, rhythmic steps of zombies, adding a layer of storytelling through dance that's both inventive and visually engaging. The soundtrack itself balances catchy, upbeat anthems with emotionally resonant ballads, creating a rich musical tapestry that rivals and, in some ways, surpasses comparable franchises. Tone-wise, Dawn of the Vampires strikes an appealing balance. While it shares the accessible, family-friendly spirit of its peers, it isn't afraid to venture into more serious and emotionally complex territory. The film tackles issues of identity, societal division, and cultural evolution with more nuance than many similar entries, providing moments that are genuinely moving without sacrificing the upbeat energy and humor fans expect. This tonal versatility broadens its appeal, engaging viewers who seek more than surface-level entertainment. When positioned alongside the wider vampire and zombie film traditions, Zombies 4 offers a notably optimistic and hopeful alternative. Vampire films often immerse themselves in gothic darkness and brooding intensity, while zombie stories frequently dwell in post-apocalyptic despair and horror. This film, however, flips those expectations on their head by presenting vampires and zombies as nuanced, relatable characters navigating community and self-discovery, wrapped in a lively musical format. Its refusal to succumb to bleakness or horror cliches provides a refreshing breath of fresh air and broadens the potential audience beyond genre diehards to include families and younger viewers. Examining the director's previous work, assuming a background that includes musicals or family-oriented films, this movie reveals a maturing artistic vision. The director handles a large ensemble cast with ease, weaving together multiple storylines and character arcs while maintaining clear narrative focus. The pacing is confident, deftly balancing energetic musical sequences with quieter moments of character development and plot advancement. There is a noticeable polish in shot composition, use of color, and scene transitions that suggests growing mastery of blending spectacle with storytelling. If this director's earlier projects leaned more towards straightforward musical fare, Dawn of the Vampires marks an ambitious leap into layered fantasy and social commentary, indicating creative evolution. If the director's background is less familiar with musicals or supernatural genres, then this film can be viewed as a bold genre experiment that brings fresh perspective and stylistic choices. Elements such as visually inventive supernatural effects, unique choreography tailored to creature types, and the nuanced handling of social themes might reflect the director's distinct sensibilities, offering an original take on a sometimes formulaic genre. This fresh approach can be a major factor in the film's ability to stand out. From a production standpoint, the film meets or exceeds the technical standards set by similar productions in the genre. Its visual effects blend CGI with practical effects to create immersive supernatural elements that never feel overdone or distracting. The settings and costumes are richly detailed and contribute to world building in meaningful ways, adding texture and vibrancy that elevate the visual storytelling above many competitors. Compared to earlier franchise entries or lower-budget counterparts, the polish here is a noticeable step up. Moreover, the film's commitment to integrating themes of diversity and inclusion into its core story sets it apart. While many teen musicals touch on acceptance and individuality, Zombies 4 embeds these ideas deeply into its world-building and character arcs, using the supernatural metaphor to thoughtfully explore real-world social issues. This layered thematic approach enriches the viewing experience and provides a meaningful difference from more surface-level genre films. In summary, Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires acts both as a faithful continuation of a beloved series and a bold expansion of its universe and ambitions. It balances familiar franchise elements, like musical numbers, high school drama, and supernatural fun, with innovative storytelling, richer themes, and heightened production values. When compared with its franchise predecessors, similar teen supernatural musicals, or broader vampire and zombie films, it stands out by blending comfort with creativity. This blend invites fans old and new to enjoy a vibrant, dynamic story that respects tradition while confidently exploring fresh ideas, making it a notable entry that both honors and redefines its genre. Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires is a treasure trove of symbolism and metaphor, weaving deeper meanings into its vibrant, supernatural musical tapestry. While the surface sparkles with catchy tunes, dazzling dance numbers, and an energetic storyline, beneath that glitzy veneer lies a sophisticated network of visual cues and recurring motifs that enrich the film's themes and storytelling in compelling ways. These layers of symbolism invite viewers to look closer, think deeper, and experience the story on multiple levels, turning what might seem like a light-hearted fantasy into a nuanced exploration of identity, society, and transformation. Let's start with the core symbolism embodied by the film's supernatural factions: zombies, vampires, and humans. Each group is more than a collection of fantasy creatures. They serve as potent metaphors for real-world social dynamics and cultural struggles. Zombies, with their slow but steady movements and sometimes misunderstood presence, symbolize marginalized communities who often face stigmatization, invisibility, or pressure to conform. Their journey from being feared outsiders to accepted members of society parallels the fight many groups endure to gain visibility, respect, and equality. The film cleverly uses the zombies' characteristic behaviors, moving in close-knit groups, sharing a collective identity, and relying on solidarity, to emphasize the power of community and support in overcoming adversity. Vampires, in sharp contrast, carry a symbolic weight linked to tradition, hierarchy, and resistance to change. Their polished, formal appearances and strict customs reflect the grip of long-standing cultural norms and the fear that embracing new ideas threatens established identities. The elders' insistence on preserving ancient laws and their suspicion of outsiders allegorizes societal forces that resist diversity and maintain exclusionary power structures. Meanwhile, the younger vampires' rebellious spirit and calls for reform represent the natural push for progress, inclusivity, and the redefinition of identity. This intergenerational conflict is a compelling metaphor for the tension societies face as they grapple with honoring heritage while adapting to evolving cultural landscapes. One of the most visually striking and thematically rich motifs in the film is the interplay between light and darkness. Beyond the classic supernatural symbolism, light here embodies knowledge, acceptance, hope, and personal growth, while darkness represents ignorance, fear, and societal exclusion. Key scenes often show characters physically moving from shadowed areas into the light, visually mirroring their emotional journeys from confusion or isolation toward clarity and belonging. This motif is further reinforced through the film's deliberate use of color palettes. Warm, bright hues flood moments of unity, joy, and understanding, while cooler, dimmer tones shroud scenes of conflict, secrecy, or alienation. These visual choices subtly deepen the emotional resonance without overt exposition. The high school setting itself is another rich symbol, a microcosm of society at large. The hallways, classrooms, cafeterias, and shared spaces act as stages where social divisions are enacted, challenged, and sometimes bridged. This setting invites viewers to reflect on their own experiences within institutions, where inclusion and exclusion often play out in very tangible ways. The film uses these spaces to explore how environments shape identity and social interactions, making the high school a living metaphor for societal structures. Musical numbers serve not only as entertaining set pieces but also as metaphorical expressions of character emotions and thematic undercurrents. For instance, group performances where vampires and zombies unite in synchronized choreography symbolize the possibility of harmony amidst diversity. The physicality of the dance, contrasting vampire grace with zombie groundedness, tells stories of struggle, acceptance, and liberation that dialogue alone cannot convey. These performances turn abstract ideas into visceral, memorable moments, inviting audiences to feel the characters' internal journeys through rhythm and movement. Costuming in the film acts as a powerful visual metaphor. The vampires' elegant, formal attire evokes order, tradition, and hierarchy, while the zombies' more eclectic, casual clothing speaks to individuality, grassroots culture, and rebellion. Over the course of the film, changes in character wardrobe subtly mirror personal growth and shifting alliances, reinforcing themes of identity and transformation. These sartorial choices do more than clothe the characters. They visually narrate who they are and how they evolve. Mirrors and reflections appear repeatedly as symbolic devices, often accompanying moments of self-examination and revelation. Characters are shown confronting their reflections during pivotal turning points, which serves as a metaphor for introspection and the quest for authentic self-understanding. These moments underscore the tension between self-perception and external judgment, inviting viewers to consider how identity is both internally felt and externally influenced. The film also employs symbols of barriers and thresholds to represent societal divisions and opportunities for connection. Physical fences, walls, locked doors, and other obstructions symbolize separation and prejudice, while scenes where characters cross thresholds or tear down barriers signify breakthroughs in understanding and acceptance. These visual metaphors provide a clear but artful way of dramatizing the film's core message about breaking down walls between communities and embracing unity. Nature imagery enriches the symbolic landscape as well. The changing seasons track the story's emotional arc. Wintry scenes depict tension and conflict, while bursts of springtime symbolize renewal, growth, and hope. Scenes showing plants or flowers thriving in unexpected places become metaphors for resilience and the potential for new beginnings, reinforcing the optimistic undercurrent that runs through the film. Even seemingly minor props carry metaphorical significance. Objects like a locket passed between characters, a cherished notebook filled with memories, or tokens exchanged as symbols of trust serve as physical reminders of connection, identity, and personal history. These details deepen the narrative's emotional texture and reward careful observation. All these symbolic elements work in harmony to create a richly layered storytelling experience. They allow Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires to speak on multiple levels, offering a fun, energetic musical adventure on the surface while simultaneously exploring profound ideas about who we are, how we relate to others, and how communities evolve. These motifs and metaphors transform the film from a simple supernatural tale into a resonant exploration of acceptance, transformation, and the power of embracing difference. For viewers willing to look beyond the catchy tunes and supernatural spectacle, the film reveals itself as a thoughtful, engaging journey that lingers in the mind and heart long after the credits roll. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires firmly establishes itself as a pivotal chapter within the ever-evolving Zombies franchise, expertly weaving together continuity and innovation to enrich the overarching narrative. For viewers who have followed the series from the beginning, the film acts as both a familiar homecoming and a thrilling expansion, delivering beloved themes while charting bold new directions that deepen the mythology and emotional stakes. The franchise began with a relatively straightforward yet impactful premise: a high school where zombies and humans coexist, grappling with issues of acceptance, identity, and social division. Each installment built incrementally on this foundation, fleshing out characters, expanding the supernatural world, and raising the stakes in terms of interpersonal and societal conflict. With Dawn of the Vampires, the series takes a confident leap forward by introducing a new and fascinating player into this universe: the vampires. This addition isn't just a superficial plot device. It fundamentally broadens the franchise's scope by adding another layer of culture, tradition, and complexity to the social fabric of the story. Suddenly, the world is no longer a binary of humans and zombies, but a more intricate ecosystem of supernatural communities with overlapping histories and competing ideologies. This richer tapestry allows the narrative to explore more nuanced themes such as the tension between preserving cultural heritage and embracing change, intergenerational conflicts, and the challenges of forging unity amid diversity. The vampire faction, with its emphasis on hierarchy and tradition, contrasts sharply with the zombies' grassroots solidarity and the humans' varied perspectives, creating fertile ground for exploring social dynamics that feel simultaneously fantastical and deeply reflective of real-world issues. The film doesn't shy away from portraying the difficulties inherent in bridging divides, whether between species or social groups, highlighting that acceptance is a process involving dialogue, compromise, and mutual understanding rather than a simple happy ending. Character-wise, Dawn of the Vampires furthers the journeys of returning protagonists, giving fans satisfying growth arcs that feel earned and authentic. Longtime characters grapple with new responsibilities, shifting alliances, and evolving self-identities as the world around them changes. The introduction of fresh vampire characters infuses the story with new energy and perspectives, challenging established norms and forcing the existing characters to re-evaluate their beliefs and priorities. This interplay between old and new voices creates compelling dramatic tension and showcases the franchise's commitment to layered storytelling. Visually and tonally, the film remains true to the vibrant musical spirit that has become the series' hallmark, while integrating darker, moodier elements associated with vampire lore. This tonal expansion adds richness and variety, broadening the emotional and aesthetic palette without losing the franchise's trademark blend of fun, optimism, and heart. The seamless integration of high-energy musical numbers with moments of introspection and conflict demonstrates the filmmaker's growing confidence and sophistication in balancing complex narrative elements within a family-friendly format. Expanding the lens beyond the franchise itself, Dawn of the Vampires taps into a deep cultural and historical vein. Both vampires and zombies carry rich symbolic legacies in folklore, literature, and film, each representing different societal fears and desires. Vampires have long embodied themes of immortality, power, aristocracy, and the allure and dangers of the other. Zombies, meanwhile, often symbolize mindless conformity, social decay, or the marginalized masses rising up. By bringing these two iconic mythologies together within a musical, teen-centric narrative, the film cleverly reinterprets and modernizes these archetypes, transforming them into metaphors for identity politics, cultural clashes, and the quest for belonging in a diverse society. It reflects contemporary dialogues about inclusion, tradition, and change, making the supernatural story feel relevant and resonant. The high school setting remains a powerful cultural symbol throughout the series, and especially in this film. It functions as a microcosm of society where issues of difference, acceptance, hierarchy, and rebellion play out in concentrated form. This setting grounds the fantastic elements in a relatable environment, allowing audiences, especially younger viewers, to see reflections of their own experiences with fitting in, finding community, and negotiating social pressures. The familiar backdrop of hallways, classrooms, and school events lends immediacy and emotional weight to the unfolding supernatural drama. A notable aspect of the franchise, carried into this installment, is its progressive commitment to inclusivity and diversity. The films have consistently showcased a wide range of characters from varied backgrounds and identities, embracing themes of acceptance beyond the supernatural divide. Dawn of the Vampires deepens this commitment, using the expanded supernatural world to explore intersectional identities and complex social dynamics in thoughtful ways. This approach resonates strongly in today's cultural landscape, where media representation and authentic storytelling are increasingly valued. From a production standpoint, the film benefits from the accumulated experience, resources, and fan base of its predecessors. The sets, costumes, choreography, and special effects are all more polished and ambitious, creating a richer, more immersive world. This evolution in production quality enhances the storytelling, making the supernatural elements more convincing and the emotional beats more impactful. The care put into design and execution reflects the franchise's growth and the creator's dedication to delivering a satisfying cinematic experience. In summary, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires functions as a vibrant, meaningful addition to its franchise and a thoughtful participant in the broader cultural dialogue around identity, community, and change. It honors the foundation laid by previous films while confidently expanding the universe and its themes. Situated within a rich tradition of supernatural storytelling yet firmly rooted in contemporary social realities, it offers viewers both the comfort of familiarity and the excitement of innovation. This installment demonstrates how a franchise can evolve thoughtfully, deepening its narrative complexity and emotional resonance while remaining accessible and entertaining to its diverse audience. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires showcases a fascinating example of how a carefully managed mid-range budget can yield a production that punches well above its financial weight class. Unlike blockbuster films that sometimes splash out hundreds of millions with mixed returns, this movie exemplifies strategic allocation of resources, directing funds into areas that deliver the most visible and immersive impact for its particular genre blend: musical, supernatural, and teen drama. The producers clearly understood the importance of investing in the core elements that fans expect and cherish: dynamic choreography, detailed set and costume design, and high-quality special effects that bring the fantasy world to life without looking cheap or overdone. From the outset, the budget was tailored to serve the story and the audience's expectations. The visual effects budget was substantial enough to create smooth, believable transformations and supernatural action scenes involving vampires and zombies, yet it avoided excessive CGI that could feel overwhelming or artificial. This balance allowed practical effects and real-world locations to shine through, enhancing the tactile realism of the world. Costume and makeup departments were evidently given the freedom to develop distinctive, culturally resonant looks for each faction: vampires with their sleek, aristocratic attire and zombies with their expressive, diverse styles. The choreography budget likewise reflected an understanding of the film's identity as a musical, enabling complex, energetic dance sequences that function as narrative drivers, not just flashy interludes. When it came to marketing, the film's campaign was equally well calibrated. The marketing budget, while modest compared to mega blockbusters, was deployed thoughtfully to reach the film's ideal audience: teens, families, and fans of the franchise, using a combination of traditional trailers, social media engagement, influencer partnerships, and interactive online events. By spotlighting the unique selling points, the fresh vampire storyline, the high-energy music numbers, and the themes of friendship and acceptance, the promotional materials generated buzz that resonated authentically with fans. The timing of the marketing push was aligned with key calendar moments like school holidays and the lead-up to Halloween, positioning the film perfectly for maximum audience turnout. Financially, Dawn of the Vampires performed impressively within its market segment. It did not break global box office records or dominate wide release charts, but it delivered a reliable and respectable return on investment, comfortably covering production and marketing costs while generating profit. The film's box office trajectory was bolstered by a strong opening weekend driven by franchise loyalty and effective pre-release hype. In the following weeks, positive word-of-mouth and social media enthusiasm helped sustain steady ticket sales, proving the film's appeal extended beyond initial curiosity. This sustained interest translated well into ancillary markets. Digital rentals, streaming platforms, and home media sales added valuable revenue streams that complemented the theatrical run. Audience reception played a crucial role in the financial outcome. Reviews and viewer reactions frequently highlighted the film's catchy soundtrack, vibrant performances, and heartfelt messages of inclusion and identity, creating a warm, positive dialogue around the release. Fans enthusiastically shared clips and song snippets on social platforms, driving organic engagement and introducing the film to potential viewers who might not have been reached through traditional advertising. This kind of grassroots enthusiasm is often invaluable for mid-budget films competing in a crowded entertainment landscape. Another factor contributing to the film's financial success was the smart scheduling of its release. By avoiding direct competition with mega-blockbusters or highly anticipated franchise tentpoles, the movie carved out a niche release window where families and younger audiences were more available to attend theaters. The timing around school vacations and holidays also encouraged group outings, further boosting box office numbers. This savvy approach to release strategy demonstrated a keen understanding of audience behavior and maximized the film's earning potential. The overall budget management, from pre-production through marketing, reflects a sophisticated approach that prioritizes quality and audience engagement without resorting to unnecessary extravagance. The film's commercial performance exemplifies how thoughtful budgeting and targeted promotion can produce a project that is both artistically fulfilling and financially viable. This balance ensures the franchise remains sustainable, enabling future installments to be developed with confidence. In short, the budget and box office story of Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires highlights how a well-planned, well-executed production can deliver impressive quality and strong financial returns. It showcases the power of aligning creative vision with audience expectations and strategic marketing, resulting in a win-win scenario where viewers get a polished, entertaining film and the franchise continues to thrive. This careful orchestration behind the scenes is a testament to the filmmakers' and producers' skill at navigating the complex business of making and selling movies in today's competitive market. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires has been made widely accessible to audiences eager to dive back into its supernatural musical world, offering multiple viewing options that cater to different preferences and viewing habits. For those who want the full immersive experience, the booming sound, the dazzling visuals, and the electric energy of the musical numbers, heading to a theater is still the best choice. The big screen brings the film's vibrant sets, dynamic choreography, and atmospheric lighting to life in a way that home setups often struggle to replicate. The surround sound system heightens every beat of the soundtrack, while the larger-than-life visuals allow audiences to catch all the subtle details in costumes, makeup, and special effects, making the vampires' eerie glow and zombies' quirky expressions even more captivating. Theatrical screenings have been strategically scheduled to coincide with school holidays and weekends, making it easy for families, groups of friends, and fans to gather and share the experience together. The communal aspect of watching this energetic, feel-good film in a crowded theater adds to the excitement, with the audience's reactions, laughter, applause, and cheers, amplifying the fun. There's something uniquely joyful about singing along with strangers to the catchy songs and being swept up in the dance sequences amid the buzz of a live crowd. For viewers who prefer to watch at home or who may have missed the theatrical window, Zombies 4 is available through a variety of digital platforms. It can be rented or purchased via popular services that allow instant streaming, enabling fans to watch on their preferred devices, be it a smart TV, tablet, laptop, or even a smartphone. This convenience lets viewers enjoy the movie at their own pace, whether it's a cozy family movie night, a weekend binge, or repeated viewings to catch all the hidden details and Easter eggs. Watching on a good quality home theater setup can come close to the cinematic experience, especially with a large screen and quality speakers, making this a solid option for those who want comfort without sacrificing much in terms of immersion. Streaming availability on subscription services expands access even further. For subscribers of these platforms, the film becomes part of a larger library of family-friendly and musical content, encouraging spontaneous viewings and discovery by those who might not have sought it out initially. The film's colorful and upbeat nature fits perfectly into playlists for parties, celebrations, or just casual entertainment, making it a versatile addition to streaming catalogs. Additionally, the film's soundtrack is often highlighted separately, allowing fans to engage with the music beyond the visual experience. Listening to the songs on music platforms or soundtrack albums can deepen appreciation for the film's artistic side and keep the spirit of Zombies 4 alive between viewings. For the fullest impact, the theatrical experience remains unbeatable, especially for those who love musicals and supernatural stories that thrive on atmosphere and shared energy. Watching with a group enhances the emotional highs and communal spirit that the film cultivates so well. That said, the home viewing options are plentiful and flexible, giving every fan the chance to enjoy the film on their own terms. Whether it's a lively movie night with friends or a relaxed solo watch, the film's charm and energy translate across formats, ensuring the story and music resonate no matter where or how it's seen. In all, Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires invites audiences to experience its vibrant world through whichever medium suits them best, making the magic accessible and enjoyable for everyone from die-hard fans to newcomers alike. Zombies 4: Dawn of the Vampires has been thoughtfully distributed across multiple platforms, ensuring that audiences from all walks of life can experience its energetic blend of supernatural drama and catchy musical numbers in a way that suits their lifestyle and preferences. Whether you're the kind of person who lives for the cinematic thrill of the big screen or someone who loves the comfort and convenience of watching at home, there's an option tailored just for you, each offering a distinct kind of enjoyment. Starting with theaters, catching Zombies 4 on the big screen remains the gold standard for experiencing the film in all its glory. Movie theaters provide an immersive environment with a large high-definition screen that brings the intricate details of the film's costume designs, set pieces, and special effects into sharp focus. The atmosphere inside a theater, with its darkness and surround sound, envelopes viewers, amplifying the excitement of the supernatural world where zombies and vampires coexist. The soundtrack, a vital element of the movie, sounds richer and more vibrant through a theater's powerful audio system, making the dance numbers and emotional songs hit with full force. For fans who want to sing along, dance in their seats, or simply soak in the communal energy of a shared viewing, the theater experience is unmatched. The film's release, strategically timed around school breaks and weekends, invites families, groups of friends, and fans of all ages to make it a social event, something to look forward to and enjoy together. Of course, not everyone can make it to theaters, whether due to geographic location, schedule conflicts, or personal preference. For these viewers, Zombies 4 is available on a wide range of digital platforms that offer rental or purchase options. Services like digital storefronts for smart TVs, gaming consoles, and streaming devices make it easy to watch the film in the comfort of your own home. This option is perfect for those who appreciate the ability to pause, rewind, or rewatch favorite scenes and musical numbers at their leisure. Having the film accessible on demand means you can create your own viewing experience. Maybe a themed movie night complete with snacks and friends, or a quiet solo watch where you pick up on subtle details and plot points you might have missed on first viewing. For viewers with a good home theater setup, large screens, quality speakers, and cozy seating, this can almost rival the cinematic experience, making it a flexible and convenient way to enjoy the film. Beyond rentals and purchases, Zombies 4 has found a home on popular subscription-based streaming platforms. This means that for many viewers, the film is just a few clicks away as part of a broader library of content. Streaming availability helps the movie reach a wider audience, including casual viewers who might discover it while browsing or looking for family-friendly entertainment. Streaming platforms often encourage binge-watching and repeated viewing, which is perfect for a musical with infectious songs and a storyline that rewards multiple viewings. This accessibility ensures the film stays relevant and part of cultural conversations long after its theatrical release window closes. Complementing the visual experience, the film's soundtrack is also widely available on music streaming platforms and as standalone albums. The songs from Zombies 4 are crafted to be memorable and catchy, allowing fans to engage with the film's energy even when they're away from the screen. Listening to the soundtrack separately can deepen appreciation for the artistry behind the music and keep the spirit of the film alive in daily life. Whether it's a high-energy workout playlist or a sing-along session with friends, the soundtrack adds another layer to how audiences can connect with the film. For those who want the fullest impact of Zombies 4, the ideal viewing environment combines visual grandeur, audio excellence, and a communal atmosphere. Theaters naturally provide all three, with their immersive technology and the shared experience of laughter, applause, and collective emotion enhancing the film's infectious joy. Watching in a group also brings out the musical's celebratory spirit, as the energy in the room builds and lifts the performances to another level. That said, the film's availability on multiple home platforms means it can also be a personal experience tailored to individual preferences. Whether curled up on a couch with family, hosting a viewing party with friends, or revisiting favorite moments solo, the story